Welcome to the Excel Purpose Show with Counselor.
Today we have Jessica Ellen, mindset coach and speaker. I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been waiting for this.
Thank you so much, Carms. I'm really looking forward to it too.
Yeah, I know a lot about you from the conversation that we've had in regards to being in an abusive relationship, and I really love to deep dive on this because it's just a topic that's kind of tiptoe around, and yeah, I want visibility on it and for women to feel heard.
Definitely. I think it's something that's got so much stigma attached to it, but also so many women are experiencing it but aren't able to speak out because they're in that situation. So it's not safe for them to do so. And even after leaving a situation, if, for example, you're sharing kids with the person, it's still really not always a safe thing to voice.
Yeah. So let's dive into your story from the start. I know you've had like a repeated history of this. So let's go to where it began. What sort of relationship did you have with your family when you were growing up, and how did that lead you, if any, into the toxic relationships?
Yeah, so I guess for me, my relationship with my family was pretty good. Like textbook mum and dad, both worked full time, loving, caring parents. But the thing for me was they were working so much. And even though I appreciated that, I felt neglected. So I would, fake getting sick from school, like so I could stay home with them. And that turned into real illness. So I eventually manifested essentially being really sick. I got glandular fever, I got chronic fatigue, and that meant my mum had to work from home full time. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay, let's pause for a moment, because I think especially in that our parents' generation, they
Mm.
had to work a lot. Like that was pretty much the norm for a lot of people, I think. And so it is quite common for children to be neglected. Like I felt a lot of that too.
Mm.
How many siblings do you have? Did you have to spread that attention?
Yeah, I have a younger brother, and he was always the golden child. So I did feel like the attention went more to him. I mean, to be fair, he would also fake being upset with me or fake injuries and blame them on me. So I would get sent to my room. So if we were trying to share like the PlayStation or something, he would just get all of the attention and all of the game time, and I'd just be in my room crying my eyes out because I've literally done nothing wrong. So there
Yes,
was that dynamic
siblings
too.
dynamic. So what happened before then? Like, what's the age gap between you and your brother?
4 years.
Okay, 4 years. Like, well, that's a fair bit. So
Mm.
prior to him existing, did you have like did it shift dramatically when he was born and that's where you really felt it, or was it already there prior?
I think it was after he was born, more so once mum went back to work. So before he was born, mum was a stay-at-home mum. I was extremely attention seeking and I got all of the attention. So then when he was born, you can see home videos of mum trying to film my brother trying to crawl, and then there's me just jumping in the frame, like, look at what I'm doing instead. I'm way better. Look, I can already crawl. I can already walk.
Yeah,
So there was that
and
as well.
yeah, and even though it's quite comical when we look at the video footage just now and you can see that,
Yeah.
as a child though, like that's our whole world, like our entire world. It's
Yeah.
like we of course all babies want love and attention, want the hugs, and that's how that's just human nature. So
Yeah.
when that's taken away in
Mm.
whatever we don't understand the world yet, that parents have to go to work, and so yeah, that is so natural to have that. So from there, what do you think, like, knowing what we know now,
Yeah.
like, are you a parent now?
I am. Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old.
Yeah, so how did you navigate this in your own life? And what advice would you have for parents, like knowing this dynamic?
For me, I've actually got a journal on it as well, but he helped me make it because he was like, it's really important for other kids to know this stuff. So quality time. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, and it's about putting the devices away even for 10 to 15 minutes and just allowing yourself to be silly with them and be a kid with them and engage with them at the level that they're at. Let them take the lead and let them, start the games they want to do or talk about what they want to talk about and establish this safety net for them that they then know they can talk to you about anything and it's okay. And it's without judgment. It's without, if they did open up to you about something they might have done wrong, it's not, sending them off to their room. It's about having a discussion about it. So you have that safe space for them to land. So if they do feel neglected or they do feel like they're not getting enough attention, they actually feel comfortable to tell you that instead of just brushing it
Yeah,
off.
I love this. It sounds
Mm,
very simple, but it's so practical, and just hearing it actually makes me feel very confident.
mm.
So you're right. I do agree that I think kids like likes routine, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
when things goes out of whack, you can see them like throw a little
chaos.
tantrum and stuff, right? Yeah, yeah. Chaos happens. And what I love about what you shared is like there can be like these set, like known dedicated time that no
Mm,
matter what happens, there's that time they can look forward to speak to you, and that will be the safe space. Um,
exactly.
yeah. Whereas if so, it's not so much like, okay, parents need to work hard, but they've never created the safe space. And like
Mm.
hearing that, yeah, because I didn't have that. So it's like that safe space is so important. Do you find that your do you talk to your friends about that if they've been able to hold that for their kids, like in general, like because
Yeah.
I imagine you work with other mums as well. Do you find
Mm.
that that's a common thing people do these days?
Yes and no. I think people think they're doing it, but aren't necessarily doing it fully. Like they might be saying, "Oh, I've done coloring in with my kid this afternoon, or we've went and gone for a walk to the park," but they're still like this the whole time.
And
They're not
I actually
actively
see this.
engaging. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
until you're aware of it, until you consciously make the choice to go and even say to your kid, look, I'm putting my phone in my office and I'm shutting the door, so that's out the way. This time is completely for you. What would you like to do with this time with me now? We can do anything you like. And if they can't choose, you're okay, cool. Do you want to cook something or do you want to build something? Do you want to go for a walk or do you want to just chill and watch a movie? And it's not just about that, it's about making the daily routine fun and the daily routine engaging. Like so many parents struggle with getting their kids out the door in the morning, right? That's a huge thing because they're stressed, they're getting ready for work, the kids are running around like crazy. But if they took a minute or two to engage with their kids in the morning before the craziness happens and actually turn it into a fun routine and even a game, like crank the music up and go, okay, by the time this song ends, everyone needs to be dressed. Let's see who gets it done first. Ready, set, go. Like, make a game out of it. Oh, I reckon I can brush my teeth better than you. Prove me wrong. Like, if they need that challenge to get them started and just
Yeah, I love
actively
that.
engaging them. That's like a whole hour or two in the morning that you can be actively engaged while still doing what you need to get ready. And then they go off to school going, you know what? I've just had 1 to 2 hours with my mom or my dad or both and I feel really comforted, I feel safe, I feel loved, and then I can go into this other environment where I don't necessarily have that, but because I know I've got it at home, I can have that confidence in myself. I can know that I've always got someone there for me to support me. I don't feel so alone, and then the anxiety and everything doesn't creep in as easily.
There's two things I really love about that. The first one is like the support on one hand and challenge on the other hand, right?
Yeah.
That's how people grow, like from
Mm.
kids to all the way to adults. We need that dynamic in a fun way, and that's why we will do it. Even as an
Yeah.
adult, it's like we don't do things that are not fun to us, right?
Exactly.
And then the second part I really like is like when you spoke about like giving them the choice, like, do you want to do this or that? It's like kids having choices, not like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. And it's like one way or the highway, but the choice actually gives them, it's empowering them.
Yeah, it is. And it's doing it in a safe way too. So they're not going to go, I want to go jump off a bridge. It's giving them choice so they feel empowered to make choices, but in a controlled way. So you can still control the outcome.
Yeah, so they feel seen, they feel heard, they made the decision. That's wonderful. Okay, so that's how the not getting enough attention. Like we actually was able to identify it back down to it's like it's not really that. It's the actual quality time and being really present with the kids. That was the missing component. Okay, but in your life, that wasn't actively that awareness wasn't there at that time. So how did that then lead you to accepting the first toxic relationship?
So well, when you look at where I was at in life, the first major toxic relationship, the big one, it was at a time where my parents had just gotten divorced. I was still recovering from chronic fatigue. I had severe anxiety, severe depression, and I didn't have that safe platform. And I was also just out of year 12 too, like into the adult world. I'd been dealing with my problems with alcohol instead of in a healthy way. I was just numbing myself. So
how much would you drink at that time?
Oh gosh, not heaps at that point. It did get worse, but at that point, because I hadn't really drunk before, it was like maybe 1 or 2 drinks. But for me, that was enough.
A day, a week?
When I felt I needed it. So it wasn't necessarily every day at that point. But it was when I felt I needed, definitely the weekends, sometimes during the week. I'd also just wrapped up and sold a business I'd been running as well, because I set up a dog grooming franchise when I was in year 12.
How old were you when you were in year 12?
17, 18. Yeah. Oh, wow. This is how I dealt with trauma traditionally. I was a people pleaser and an overachiever. So for me, my world is crumbling. My parents are split. I also experienced my first sexual assault in this time as well. And my way of coping was, I'm going to go start a business and make all of this money and be successful so I can just get my own place and be happy. But of course,
that makes sense. It's like a sense of control.
A sense of control. I needed that control. I needed that stability, predictability, and I knew I couldn't get it from anyone other than myself. The problem was I was already burnt out before I started. So adding in 15-hour days, 7 days a week, because overachiever, that took my burnout to the next level, and I had to sell it. I had to give up. And that really made me crash and burn even more with my depression, because I felt like a failure. I was still stuck with my parents, and it was just a mess. So anyway, this knight in shining denim really came along and love bombed the crap out of me. It felt really good to have someone give me all of their attention 24/7, and I mean 24/7. If I wasn't with him, he was messaging me even during the night when I'm sleeping. I'd wake up to these messages of how amazing I am. So
paragraphs and pages of love.
I wish I was exaggerating, but it's essays. And that was something I hadn't experienced before. All I had to do was be myself, and someone was doing that. I wasn't having to overachieve. I wasn't having to fit a certain mold or get straight A's or run a successful business. I just had to rock up and be the messy me that I was.
And someone loved you just for
that.
That's, of course. Everyone would like that. Everyone would love that. Who doesn't want that?
So you see why I fell for it, right? Because it was the perfect scenario. I mean, we moved in together within a month because I needed to get
Wow.
out of my parents' house. My mum and I were clashing so much at that point. She was going off the rails and that was making me worse. So having someone that I could go, you know what? You clearly love me
Yeah.
so much. You're going to
Yeah.
protect me and look after me. We both had full-time job. We're both working at the same place at that point. So we can definitely afford it. Let's just go get something. It's going to be amazing. It's my happily ever after.
Yeah.
And, you know, you romanticize things at that age as well, right? I mean, well, at any age you can romanticize it, but I think especially when you're naive and a teenager at that
Well,
point.
given as humans, we're just weighing out the options, really, that's
Yeah.
on hand. And if the option at home isn't great and there's a comparatively much greater option, like, why
Mm,
wouldn't you?
exactly.
Okay, so you moved out, and were things good initially? How did
Yeah.
it turn sour?
So I noticed after the first few weeks, his mood would fluctuate. He was diagnosed bipolar, and I didn't know this going into it, but he wasn't showing his symptoms at that stage. And I didn't really fully understand what that meant. And I'm not saying everyone with bipolar is like this, just to put that out there, but he was not getting help. And he also had severe depression and anxiety. And he was self medicating with a bunch of different drugs, which were actually making him worse. So, yeah, just not everyone with bipolar is like this. Plenty of them are great and function well in society, but for him, he didn't cope. So it started off with the odd outburst here and there, but we were still with each other 24/7, so it wasn't that bad. It was when we both left that company and he was unemployed and I went and started dog grooming again full time,
Mm-hmm.
to essentially support both of us while he worked his stuff out. He said he was just way too anxious and depressed. He just wanted to get his mental health together first and then get a job. And for me, experiencing mental health problems for, you know, almost a decade at that point, I understood that and thought, you know what, that's actually a really smart idea. I'll go work for both of us. I can earn more than enough. You work on yourself and then we can both build after that. So once I was away from him during the day, that's when it started to escalate. I was getting at first a message every hour or so, just checking in, saying how much he loves me, all of that. And then if I didn't respond instantly, though, because clearly, you know, I'm wrestling this little Maltese that's trying to bite my face off and I'm trying to cut the hair at the same time. I can't always be on my phone. Um, he would start sending me some more paranoid messages like, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? And over the coming months, it just escalated to the point where if I wasn't on the phone with him, like I would have to literally ring him when I started grooming a dog and leave it on speakerphone and talk to him the whole time. If I didn't do that, or when I had to hang up to go deal with the client and talk to the owner and get paid and work out where I needed to go next, he would flip. So when I got home, that's when it started getting really, I guess, scary because he was bigger than me, stronger than me. I knew his mental health wasn't okay. I knew he'd been sitting at home smoking weed all day and getting himself more and more paranoid and building things up in his head. And he wasn't always violent, but if I smelt like someone else because I happened to walk past someone with aftershave on, or, you know, I gave a friend a hug on the way home, or whatever it might be, even just having a smell that's not mine, like I don't smoke. So if someone had smoked near me and I had the smell of cigarettes on me, he'd be like, who are you making out with that smokes? Like, why do you
Oh my
smell
God.
smoke? But it was,
Also, you just got random accusation.
yeah, pretty much because I wasn't with him. He just built all of this up and he would take it out on me when I got back.
Were they just like verbal nonsense, or were they like physical stuff?
Um, Sometimes physical. So there was one time I recall specifically, I walked down the street to the bottle shop. It was 20 meters away from my house. So I walked in, bought him a bottle of whatever he wanted. I think it was Jägermeister, and then walked back. And the guy at the shop had really strong aftershave on. It's like he just sprayed a whole lot in the shop right before I got there. So of course I walked home, and I've been gone for 4 minutes. I walked really fast to get there and back to make sure I wasn't too long. And because I smelt like someone else, he slammed me up against the wall, was screaming in my face and getting really aggressive because, yeah, I smelt like someone else. And I'm screaming back at him, like, what do you mean? You could literally see me walk down the street into the bottle shop and come back. I was gone for 4 to 5 minutes. Nothing's happened in that time, but me talking back just made it worse. And he probably would have gotten even more aggressive with me. But luckily for my case at that point, we were at the front of the house and neighbors saw, and they did intervene and pull him off, and they took him away to go have a drink. Because, yeah, they could see that things were getting out of hand. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that kind of level of paranoia, it's pretty crazy.
it was
Like
very
in a
crazy.
space of a few minutes, and he
Yeah,
couldn't wait to get home. That would actually get attention on the street.
yeah, exactly. It's insane. Yeah, it is insane. So yeah, that's kind of when it was at its worst. And aside from that, it was just the constant gaslighting, the constant manipulation, the constant threats, not just to me, but also like on himself, like, oh, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself, you're going to come home and there's going to be blood everywhere, and all like, I had pets with us as well, and he was home with them all day, and I was really paranoid that he was going to hurt my cat or hurt my guinea pigs. And 2 of my guinea pigs did die within those few months. So I'm not sure if that was him on the days that I was out longer, because he did bring them up on those days, but I don't know. So yeah, it was difficult to navigate because part of me really wanted to get out and leave, but the other part of me, I was just so depressed. I was having suicidal thoughts myself. I had just given up. So I was just coming home, drinking myself silly and just passing out so I could just get to the next day so I could leave again. And I really didn't care if I didn't wake up or not at that point.
Wow, that's some really dark times.
Mm,
Hmm. Sorry to hear you had to go through that. Like, it's just so tough when you're like mentally challenged already, and you have a partner that you obviously care about. So
mm,
even though maybe logically we can go, well, we're not responsible for someone else's, state of mind or health. It's like
yeah.
it's natural that we also wouldn't want that guilt upon ourselves if anything were to
Mm.
happen to someone you're dating. Um, when you look back at that, what advice would you have for if someone is in that situation? How should they deal with it?
I think the most important thing they can do is seek help from anyone, really. And it doesn't necessarily need to be to get out and leave if you're not able to at that point. Because sometimes you're in these situations, and I've had a few clients in this situation too, where they're in an abusive relationship, but for them, it doesn't feel bad enough to leave, or they just don't want to leave at that point. They feel like they're happy, they feel like they're in what they want to be in. But once they rebuild their self-confidence, and once they rebuild their self-esteem, and we work on getting them out of that state in session, or even just, if you can get out and be with friends, just whatever it takes, just get out of that environment, whether it be in a therapy session or with people on a social point. Because once you're out of that environment for long enough, even if it's just for the day, you can see the contrast. You can see how unhealthy it is. You can feel the difference in the energy when you come back. You can be out with people that are, full of love and happy, and it's all lighthearted and fun, and then go back and just feel that really dense, dark energy. And it does start to click, is this actually okay?
So let's dive back into when you were in that dark state. Why did you feel you couldn't seek for help?
I think part of it was because I was already so depressed anyway. So I just didn't feel like I deserved it. My self-esteem was down the toilet. I
If
just
if
didn't
you were
care.
to reach out to your friends,
Mm.
do you feel like they would have helped?
I think they would have. I really do. The problem was I had pulled away from all of my friendship circle. I had pulled away from my family. He had done a really good job at isolating me. So I hadn't even talked to my parents for months. And this is coming from someone that spoke to them every week, even if I was pissed off at them. Like the minimum I'd talk to them was once a week. So they knew something wasn't right, but they also should have really come and gotten me out, to be fair, because they knew that it was not okay for me to be like that. And that's another thing too. If you notice someone's in that situation, you're more than able to do something for them. If they don't feel like they can look after themselves at that point, there's nothing stopping you going and checking in on them
Did
or
your parents
seeing
know
what
where
it's
you lived?
like. Yeah, they had my address. But I think they were just so caught up in the divorce and all their own mess, they didn't really think about it. And to be fair, once things did end, my dad welcomed me back with open arms. I moved in with him and he gave me the structure I needed. He helped me get a different job so that way the guy wouldn't know where I was working. Like I had a job the next day. So I could start rebuilding my life at that point. So he did support me, but it wasn't until I got out.
It's such a interesting situation, which is what I think most people do. When I'm trying to picture being in a state like that, trying to put myself in someone's shoes, it's like I think most people would do something similar to what you do, which is like when I sort it out, then you go find the help, right? But not
Yeah,
in the midst of the chaos. Probably because there's like shame attached to it,
there
or like
is.
it's kind of like we chose this path and we pushed away our parents or our friends or whoever because maybe we defended certain things at a particular point and we don't want to crawl back and go, well, maybe you were right or whatever
That's
it was, right?
exactly it. Yeah.
And so how did you come to terms with it's okay for me to ask for help? Was it like totally out of desperation that like you could there was nowhere to turn, or what changed in your mind?
For me, I was just so done. I was fed up with the situation. And also, I got to the point where I was fed up with feeling how bad I felt. So it got to the stage where I thought, well, if I try and get help and it doesn't work, things really can't get any worse. So if it backfires, it's not
Yeah.
going to really be worse for me. And I think for me, the main thing I wanted to do was just get him out of the situation because it was just so overwhelming with him being there 24/7 at the house. He didn't leave for anything. So I never really got a break if I was home to organize my stuff to get out. Because if I started packing a bag to leave, he would know. It was a 1-bedroom unit. There was nowhere to escape. And yeah, he was such a light sleeper as well. If I woke up, he was awake and watching what I was doing and like keeping an eye on me. So for me, I actually reached out to his mum. I called his mum, who lived in a different state, and said, look, this is what's going on. I didn't give it all of the details, but I kind of put it as a way of saying your son's going through a lot mentally right now. His mental health is completely just a mess. He's doing this, 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 and this. Didn't mention any of the abuse or anything, but just said to her, look, can you invite him to come stay with you for a couple of days? I think he just needs to get out. He's been in this unit for 5 months now, just stewing and not doing anything. Invite him home for the weekend, and I think it'd be really good for him. So she did. He accepted. He left. And then when he left for the weekend, I got everything out and moved.
That's
So
very strategic, right? Like you plotted
yeah,
your escape.
I did.
You, so you planned that he would be away from home
Mhm.
by getting in touch with his loved ones, but which is a
Mhm.
win-win scenario because he really does need help, right?
Yeah,
And at the same time, you also reached out to your dad to leave.
I did. I said, look, I mean, I did lie. I said, I can't afford it. I can't afford living here anymore. I'm exhausted from the dog grooming. My health is going backwards again because it's physical labor. I need a new job, but if I get a new job, I can't afford the unit. So I need to move home for a bit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I didn't
What
even
would you
tell
have done
him.
if he said no? Or was that not even an answer you would consider? Like you knew he would say, like, what's the percentage of you? How certain were you
I was
knowing that he
pretty
would say
certain.
yes?
I was
Huh?
pretty certain he'd say yes. I mean, he
Okay.
was still in the family home. Mum had left and got in a different place. So my bedroom was still there. Some of my stuff was still there. There was space for me there. And he was on his own. My brother had gone to live with mum. My backup plan was moving back in with mum. At that point, though, we were not getting along. So I would have done it if I had to, but
Yeah.
I would have, I preferred to live with dad because at least then I knew he'd also be at work all day. And he's very, I guess, inside the box with his thinking when it comes to career. So for him, he'd look at me and go, you need a job. So I'm going to get you a job because you need to be able to buy a house and you need that security. So I knew that he would keep me on track. Mum, on the other hand, would have let me just spiral more because she just wasn't in the frame of mind herself to look after me. But yeah, so I mean, that was a really good strategy to get me out. It is something I highly recommend doing if you're in that situation. Because when someone's a narcissist as well, like, as you know, they're self-involved, they only care about themselves. So if you can even approach them and say, look, you seem really stressed out lately. Are you okay? What's going on? You seem like you need some time off. How about you take some of our savings, just go away with your friends for the weekend? Like, go have some fun. You deserve it. Or go out for the night. You go, do what you want to do, whatever their thing is. And use that time when they're away to get your ducks in a row. Or if you can, when they're asleep or at work, go through the finances, set up your own private bank account. When you do the food shop, if you're the one that does the food shopping, get cash out every time you do a food shop because that doesn't show up on the docket and it doesn't show up on your bank transaction. So if every time you go into the shops, you get $30 out or $50 out, within a few months, you've at least got some kind of buffer to get you through. And let's be real, the cost of groceries right now, they're not going to bat an eyelid if it's $300 instead of $250 because prices for everything are going straight up. So, or even when you're getting petrol, take money out when you get petrol. Just every single time you get a chance, get some money out, build up that buffer, especially if you're not working yourself, and get legal advice. There's heaps of free legal services. I dealt with one with my last split, and they are very discreet. They call you from a private number, so there's no records on your phone if they're looking at your phone. You can do it all through email, whatever it needs to be, but just get the advice before you leave because you also don't want to screw yourself over long-term financially. If you do own the house together, if you do have kids, you don't want them to be one step ahead of you and then gaslight you into not getting anything or, losing custody of the kids or manipulating you in another way to make sure they retain the assets. Because at the end of the day, one, you deserve something for your pain and suffering, but two, you don't want to end up worse off and end up potentially couch surfing or on the street because you haven't taken the time to set yourself up. I mean, obviously, if you're in a really bad situation, if it's really violent, if you cannot last another day, leave, report them to the police, get them at least arrested for the abuse, go straight to the hospital, get yourself checked out, get it on record, and then leave. But if you can, if it's just, and I say just as in like you're not physically in danger, the emotional abuse, take the time to save up some money and work out where you stand legally before you leave, if you can.
I really love the practicality of this because it's really putting it on, okay, every day, what can you do? Like, what coming from the perspective, like, you understand this is not just something you can just leave. And most people wouldn't do that. It's like they wouldn't be in that situation if they could have. It's like
Exactly.
they would have just
Yeah.
left. So it's about like, okay, taking the small steps on like, yeah, saving the small amount of money over time, whilst they're thinking about how to get out there, preparing themselves mentally, emotionally, what it really takes. Just buying yourself some of that time and building the buffer for the future. I really love the legal advice there too. And I say this with like some personal experience when I had a friend call me up, totally random, like out of the blue. And it's like, can I stay with you? And I just said yes, like instantly, no hesitation. Yeah, of course. And
Yeah.
that's when she asked, you're not going to ask me why? I was like, no, the fact that you asked me, it means it's important. So yes, do you need me to pick you up? That was it. Right. And I could just hear how probably shocked and also comforting to have a friend like that. And when I picked her up, like it was kind of like the last time she was going to be where she was.
Yeah.
And then yes, the money part came, right? Like, which is the legal advice you're speaking about. And when I heard what she wanted to do, I was like, no, I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. And I kind of just said what I needed to say. Because I think women in that state, getting out is already super huge for them.
Yeah.
Everything else is so small, like they don't even care. It's like they can keep the house, the shop, whatever. Like they can keep it all. Like I don't care if I'm out, I'm free. Like that is already monumental, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, no, I need you to hear me right now. Promise me you'll do this thing. Talk to the lawyer. You know, and I kind of just made a few suggestions. So I really love that you're bringing this point because it's like, yeah, girls, if you're in this situation, money does matter.
It does.
You need it as resources. So like this is not the time to be the bigger person or whatever it is. It's like you worked assuming you've worked and contributed to what has been built up, you deserve some of this. So,
and you know what? Like, even if you haven't been at work, if you've been the stay-at-home mum, you've contributed just enough as much. Because if you weren't being a stay-at-home parent, he'd have to pay for childcare. So he's saving money by having you at home. You're giving up earning super. You're giving up earning an income and your independence to look after him and look after the children. And that's what I did in my last relationship. I was a stay-at-home, well, I still technically am a stay-at-home parent because I homeschool my son and it's just him and I now. But for me, getting out last time and the last relationship I had compared to the past one, like, he's amazing. I mean, yes, he's still a narcissist, but like it was only the mental and emotional abuse, and it was only mild, and it was only when he was drinking or high, so it's okay. But when it came to leaving this one, I mean, he's the sort of guy that
wait, hang on. How many of these like bad relationships have you had?
Okay, so I mean, two main ones.
Two main ones.
Okay. But there were a couple of boyfriends sprinkled in there that didn't last longer than a month or two that were also not great. But that's why they only lasted a month or two, because I'd had the experience, I recognized the signs and went, you know what, I don't want to put up with that anymore. I'm just going to go and do my own thing. So
you see the major red flags, but you're still falling into the hole.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, to be fair, with the long-term one, the father of my kid, he didn't show any bad signs until I got pregnant. So it was a few years before any of the red flags came up, because before that we were both working. I was earning more than him, so I was contributing a lot more. He was happy about that because he could just work casually. I mean, he was full-time for some of it, but the pressure wasn't on him to earn all the income. The pressure wasn't on him to maintain the house, because I just naturally go into homemaker state when I live with somebody. That's just who I am. And I don't mind. That doesn't faze me. It's not, I was raised to be the perfect housewife by my grandma, you know, I was raised. So, yeah, it wasn't until I got pregnant and I started needing support. I started needing him to leave work sometimes to take me to hospital because my health was that bad. And I couldn't go back to work within a couple of months because our son was sick for like 2 years. So I didn't sleep for 2 years. So that took a huge toll again on my mental health. The depression came back. The anxiety was worse than it had ever been, to the point where I couldn't leave the house unless I had to get my son to an appointment. I dragged myself out, but I was having a panic attack the whole time. I tried different medications. I tried psychologists. I tried absolutely everything I could because I wanted to get help at that point, but nothing helped.
Did he
And
want the kid? He
he
wanted to be a
said
father?
he said he wanted it, but I think it was more an ego thing at that point, because when this baby came, yeah, of course he said he loved him and he, had time with him when it was like the fun part of the day, or he'd gotten up in the morning after sleeping till 11 a.m. and then got to hold him for like half an hour and then went to work. So it was the fun parent stuff, and it still is the fun parent stuff, honestly. He's always been the fun babysitter, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the dad. And he is getting better because he has to now, because we're separated, and he has him on the weekends, so he has to actually be a dad now. But yeah, up until last year that wasn't the case. But yeah, so I didn't see the red flags until then. And for me, the biggest red flags were when I was pregnant, when he would come home on a rant and say, my life is ruined now. Everything's turned to shit. I wish you weren't pregnant. Like,
Oh my
all
God.
things. I actually found my old journals the other week, and I've just poured my heart out into it, just saying every awful thing he said to me. And of course, I took it all personally. And in these journal entries, I'm blaming myself, like, how could I be a better partner? What can I do to make him stay? And just all of this bullshit. And I wish I could go back.
When you were pregnant, was he supportive?
Yes and no. So he felt supportive until he wasn't. So he's very what's the way of putting it? His moods could be very volatile. So when he's in a good mood, things are great. If you talk back, things are not great. If things don't go his way, like even just someone cutting him off in traffic, then the rest of the day is ruined. He would sabotage, not necessarily consciously, but unconsciously sabotage a lot of events to get attention, I guess. He had a lot of trauma growing up too, and he just never dealt with any of it. So it was his way of getting the attention and love he needed, was to cause problems and get attention that way. That's what he learned as a kid. So I knew that, and I would talk to his mum about it when she was still around. She passed maybe 5 years ago, which sent him down even more, of course, because that was the closest relation he had. And when she was around, she was able to, talk him around a bit, get him to see where he was going wrong. He would never apologize. I got my very first apology from him maybe 4 months ago. And that was over something really small. I'm like, oh my God, I've never heard you say the word sorry. This is like, can we rewind and I can record it? I can save this. But yeah, when she passed, his health went downhill and he started drinking. He was high all the time. And that's when I realized, okay, I do really need to get out. I, of course, gave him like 6 months. And I even said to him, look, take 6 months off work, get your shit sorted, take some time for yourself, heal, actually work on yourself. I'll work the 3 jobs and look after everything so you can do that. And instead of getting better, he got worse. And that was the enough is enough point for me. That's when I said, I'm done. Like, we don't have to live separately yet, but I'm done. Like, we are going to be splitting. We are going to be ending this. And it was fine, and we were civil until he moved out. And
There's so many things going on there, like, to unpack, really. When I hear that, it's like, it's almost like I don't even know where to start. It's like modern day women problem, right? Like the woman kind of like doing it all, like, and like the guy is kind of like happy about that. I know this happened much longer, But
Yeah.
it's like, I think that's what is actually happening now.
Mm.
Like there's like this new space we go, I don't know what to even call it. We're like just entering this phase
Oh yeah,
where
men in their
they're
princess era, pretty much.
yeah. So I don't, and I don't want to put that yes. I kind of don't want like putting those
All of
stereotypes,
them,
but
but like,
it is kind of like this is a problem that is happening. Otherwise people wouldn't talk about it. Like stereotype can only happen when there's enough pockets of it that it
exactly.
becomes like, if you can laugh about it, it's like this because people know it's true. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So I think how do we, let's talk through this. How do we solve this problem? Like, because guys, I think by nature, even though women can do it all, so to speak,
Mhm.
it's not like if we want to.
No, but we
Like,
don't. We really don't.
and we want guys to lead. We actually
Mm.
do want them to lead.
Yeah.
And I think even men themselves want to be the one that is leading, because when they don't, they will feel this inferior complex
Yeah,
that's not good
exactly.
for either of us, right?
Yeah. No, exactly
So
right.
is it our role to not be so nice, like so accommodating? It's like, it's okay, you take the time out, but more it needs to come from like a encouragement that they are to step up to be the man, that they can do it, because they
Mm.
like, men like challenges. I think by nature they like challenges, but it just kind of needs to come in like a weird sensitive angle, because if you challenge them too much, then it's like you're criticizing me, it's like you're disrespecting me. So it kind of needs to come from some soft tone. Like, any advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, real, let's break it down, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship where you can have healthy communication and you both love and trust each other and respect each other enough to be able to speak openly and speak your mind, it really shouldn't actually be an issue, because you should be able to approach him and go, I need you to take the reins with this so I can be safe and free to be more in my feminine. And by
Right.
being in my feminine, that will support you even more. Like, I'm not saying everyone needs to be in the stereotypical women stay home, men go to work, but it's about men taking, like you said, that leadership role and stepping more into their masculine energy and leading the family, leading the dynamic, even if it just comes down to asking your fucking girlfriend on a date. Sorry for swearing, but um, like, plan something. It doesn't need to even, like, if you're a stay-at-home dad because she's like a CEO and she wants to achieve that, lead in a different way, lead in the relationship, like, take the initiative. It doesn't mean do everything for her, but it means, you know what? I've organized a babysitter for the kids for the weekend. I'm taking you out for dinner. We're just going to have some one-on-one time. Be ready at 8 o'clock. Like, that's also stepping into their masculine.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean
planning is sexy.
exactly. Like, even just doing the dishes without being asked and taking out the rubbish without being asked and just going, you know what? I've got this. You go sit down for a bit. Like, I've got it, and without needing a list from the woman as well, because men, that drives us insane. Having to tell you everything we need help with. If you live in the house, you should know where the sponges are. You should know where the vacuum is. Just see mess, clean it up. That's also part of it, not needing to be the third child in the relationship.
Yeah, okay, let's get really practical, because I think this is actually useful, right?
Yeah.
Because I can see how this conversation goes down, right? It'll be like,
Yeah.
we do all the stuff, we're kind of like resentful as we're doing it because it stacks up. Initially, you're not, you're just doing it because you
Yeah.
don't, because you're organizing the house. And when you feel like there's a lack of support in house chores and whatnot, it builds up over time, right?
Yeah.
So then when it gets to the point when a woman is yelling
Mhm.
for help, maybe for the fifth time,
Yeah.
and then the men will finally hear it and they go, why are you yelling at me? It's like, okay, well, maybe because I told you multiple times and you haven't done it, right?
Mm.
And then the conversation is like, well, if you want something done, you could just tell me. And I
Just
think
tell me what
this
you
is the
need.
problem. Yeah, just tell me what you need. But it's like they haven't heard it the last 50 times or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, how do we do better?
How do we do better? That is the question. I think setting the expectations early on is really important. I think when you start a relationship, everyone's on their best behavior. Women will typically be doting, and a lot of women, their love language is acts of service. So they're doing things for the man all the time as well. The man might be showing up in more of a doting way too, because he wants to impress the woman. He's organizing things, he's setting dates, he's showing up, he's available for conversation, and things flow easier because everyone's working at 200% to impress the other person. I think if people are more open at the start of a relationship and just go, you know what, this is what my ideal partner looks like. This is what I need in a relationship dynamic. I don't necessarily need you to pay all my bills. I don't need you to, you know, earn six figures. I don't need you to be, XYZ. These qualities and these values are what I need. And as long as this is happening, for me, I'll feel fulfilled in the relationship. And you can also set your own boundaries and go, well, in a relationship, I am a people pleaser, and I will at times, overdo it with, making you lunches and cleaning the house on my own and not asking for a thing in return. But I need you to be aware that I do actually want help with that, but I might not always ask for it. So one way that you can really show love to me is by taking things off my plate without you asking first. Like if you notice that I need to do something, if you can just do that for me, that'll really show me how much you love and care. And then I'll be able to be the partner that you also need, because I'm not going to be burnt out from doing everything. My mental load won't be as long, and I'll be able to show up as I am
Yeah,
now.
because I think men wants women to be like nice and kind the whole time and not be exhausted, like to attend to them when they are ready, right?
Yeah.
And there's the lack of recognition that women can be happy doing all these things, but like her energy level will get depleted. And when
Yeah.
people's energy level get depleted is when they become impatient,
Yes.
or when they are too exhausted to now be feminine or gentle and or like all the affectionate things, because she's already depleted all her energy. So
Exactly.
it's really about, yeah, for men to actually recognize that she only has so much battery.
And you know what? If you don't want to help with the cleaning and you're working full time and that's your excuse, hire a cleaner
Hire a
for
cleaner.
her.
Yeah, love that.
Like
Like there's
take that off of
always,
her load, like once a week, just to do the bathrooms, even just, hire someone to do the kitchen and bathroom and give the floors a good mop. Cost you maybe half an hour to an hour, and then your wife's going to be a lot happier, and you don't actually have to get dirty doing it. Like I saw a study the other day that said the more housework a woman does, the less interested she is in the bedroom. Like that should be enough incentive to get
yeah.
some of that done. But you know what, as well, it does change. So before kids, for example, versus after kids.
Mm-hmm.
Before kids, it might be perfectly fine for the woman to do everything because she's not
She
exhausted.
had the capacity. Yeah.
She's got the capacity, and realistically, it doesn't take that much effort to clean if you stay on top of it. Like you might need to spend 45 minutes a day, but that's it really. But add kids to the mix, especially sick kids, like that just goes out the window. So that's where I feel like men really need to focus on stepping up, is going, you know what, we both brought these creatures into the world. We should both be looking after them. Like that shouldn't be all her job, especially if she's working still. If you look at the amount of work and labor that needs to be done. And even if they had to sit down, and I've had couples do this where they've written out all of the tasks they're all doing each week, like broke it down to a microscopic level of every single thing, even if it's like emptying the bin, making the 3-year-old lunch, changing a nappy, putting to bed. And the man was really shocked to see at one of these sessions how much the woman was doing compared to him. And she was running a business from home on top. And he had written down all of his work tasks for the day, and even working full time in a higher up role that he was in, his workload at work, being responsible for heaps of people, was maybe a fifth of what she was doing in the same time period. So he's at work, he's around other adults as well, he's able to be social, he's getting that fix, and she's stuck at home usually with little ones, not able to speak. And women need to speak so much more than men. Like, we're just wired differently. So when he's coming home, of course he's going to feel bombarded because she's desperate at that point. She's drinking the same coffee she made at breakfast and has just reheated the same thing 5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
And
never had the time to drink it.
And of course she's like word vomiting all over him because she hasn't had that connection all day, and she's just desperate for some kind of recognition at that stage and some kind of break. So if he just took even 15 minutes and said, go sit, or just go get in the shower, I'll make you a snack, I've got the kids for now. And if he just did a really quick tidy up, or just took them to the park so she could have time for herself, that alone would be a massive change for her. That alone, even if it's 15 minutes, can be enough time to recharge enough to get through the rest of the day, and also feel that gratitude towards him and that love towards him, and feel that connection again, because that gets missed a lot in the chaos, that connection between parents.
Such a small thing, but
yeah,
such a huge impact. I hear that so much, like moms saying they don't even have 15 minutes to themselves. Yeah,
it's true. Like, my kid couldn't be left alone. He'd scream every time I put him down, and my anxiety was through the roof. So I'm like, if he's screaming and anxious and I'm just trying to have a shower, like, I can't do that. So I just put him in a bouncer and put him in the bathroom with me so I could see him screaming and know he's fine, but I could still clean. Like, you do what you have to do. But yeah, it's just the dynamic needs to change. And it's really simple. If it's just the small things that make such a big difference. And just like we spoke about at the start of the call, it doesn't matter who it is that you're trying to connect with in your family, whether it's a mum connecting with her kids or partners connecting with one another. It's just having that quality time. It doesn't need to be long, but just put the devices away in another room and just spend that time focusing on each other. And that is enough.
I want to go back to the moment you said about how he wished you weren't pregnant. It's like such a lack of responsibility. Like the little
we were
human
actively
only
trying too.
It's crazy. That's so wild. It's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a miracle happened from actively trying, but either way, a miracle happened, right? And it's a 2-person's job. Like, one person cannot make that happen.
No.
And then to wish that have not occurred. What ran through your mind when you heard someone say that?
I was pretty broken. Obviously, I was emotional. Being pregnant was amplified. So that wasn't a great feeling. I felt really disconnected from him in that moment. I felt really lost, and I felt like I had no support. I also had the realization that there is a very high chance that I'm going to be raising this kid on my own. And even if we're still together, this alone shows that it's probably going to be up to me to do the parenting. It's going to be up to me to take care of everything, because he's not stepping up as a man to look after anything at this stage. He's going to work, and he's working in a pub, so he's having a great time and drinking and everything afterwards, and he's just going and hanging out with his mates. At that stage, he was still going out for a couple of days at a time. He would disappear and just go drinking, and I was okay with it because I also got a break. And it was something he continued to do through the relationship. Like Thursday was his day to go and just game and get drunk and whatever. And it dawned on me that I actually felt so comfortable and safe and at home on Thursdays when he wasn't there. And you shouldn't feel like you want
Yeah, that's
to
wild.
leave to feel that way.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't like he was obviously abusive. It wasn't all like, yes, he was very much the gaslighter, but in the grand scheme of things, he was just a very emotional person. He was very volatile and he had anger issues, and he had the emotional capacity of a 5-year-old. So it wasn't that he was setting out to hurt me, but he just couldn't handle feelings. Like even if I was crying, it would make him run away. He wouldn't talk to me again until I wasn't crying. So there was never an arm around the shoulder, are you okay? And this is at the start of the relationship. He would always run away from conflict. So again, it wasn't that he was necessarily stereotypically abusive, but it wasn't a loving, nurturing environment that I needed to feel supported.
Is this where people need to be aware of like the attachment type so that they
Mm-hmm.
know that they're dealing with an
Yes,
avoidant, and if they are okay about that?
exactly. Oh, yeah. I think taking the time to research attachment types makes such a difference. And it's interesting because depending on where you're at with your own healing journey, you can show up differently. Like I used to very much be an anxious attachment type. So if I didn't hear from someone, and I think that was built into me from that earlier relationship, if I wasn't hearing from someone, I'm like, oh my God, they don't love me anymore, because it was so built in that they're going to contact me all the time if they love me. Whereas then being with an avoidant, anytime there was an argument, he'd run. And if I cornered him and talked to him about it, and it didn't even have to be in an aggressive way, it would just be simply like me going to you, hey, can we chat about that thing from earlier when you've got a minute? That would be enough to set him off. So yeah, learn your attachment type, definitely. And if you're not happy with how either anxious or avoidant you are, get some help to work on your stuff. Because when you do the internal work and do the healing and rebuild that relationship with yourself, your attachment type definitely changes. It might still be the same sort of thing, but the level of anxiety or the level of avoidance can diminish greatly.
I remember when I was in a relationship that when guys are avoiding, it's not even hard topics, it's just avoiding stuff. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
it's got just these small things that, but when you notice this, you might already be in a relationship for a while. Because initially, maybe it just wasn't that deep, because relationships are a bit like that, right? You slowly get to know someone and
Yeah.
then you want to go deeper, and then you realize, oh, this person doesn't have the capacity to go deeper. And so and then you
Yeah.
probably avoid it because it's like, well, you're not going to make a drama out of no drama. So you just continue doing the normal thing until it's like, no, they really can't go. There's no depth in this person. They will
Exactly.
just avoid it. So, and when in my situation, when I try to suggest, very gently, by the way, to do couple counseling, I was faced with a brick wall. Like it was just like total defense. Like no,
Yeah.
like just a shutdown no. Which leave, but like you can't really go anywhere with that. Like, where can you take a relationship if someone doesn't want to make it better between yourself or with help? Do you have any suggestion on how people should navigate this?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you really want. If you feel like aside from that small issue, they're the perfect fit for you, everything else is great. Maybe you can start weaving things in conversation. Men like things to be their idea. So if you can make it their idea, that's the best way forward. Even if it needs to be like, you know,
Let's get
little
practical. Let's
tiny
so that women
seeds.
can get the gems out of it, right? Let's say they want to
Yeah.
been wanting to go to a restaurant for a long time.
Hmm.
How do they plant that into a guy's mind to make it feel like
Okay.
it's dead to you?
If you get along with their friends, you can also get their friends to bring it up. Like you could talk to their mate and be like, have you heard of this restaurant? It
Oh
looks
yeah,
really good. And then, you know,
just planting seeds.
plant the seeds. And hey, do you reckon like my partner would be keen to go as well? Like, I'm not going to talk to them for a bit. Do you reckon you could ask and see if we can all go together?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
if it's about changing mindset, it's, you know, sending the links like to a podcast that you might have heard or a video, or even if they don't have a short, if they've got a short attention span, just to a reel, or even listening to things in front of them. Like I used to do that. I used to listen to a self-help video or my study, that because I was studying hypnotherapy while we were together. I'd listen to it in the same room as him and ask his opinion on it. Like,
Mm.
and you can always frame it in a way that challenges them. So they feel they need to prove that they agree with something. So it could be as simple as, oh, what do you think about how he's saying about, you know, couples need to spend like an hour together? Like, is that
Mm.
ridiculous, or what do you reckon? Like, we don't do
Yeah.
that, do we? And we're fine. And it might just be enough to plant the seed of, okay, this
Yeah,
expert.
we don't do this, but actually that seems like a
Yeah,
good idea. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And
just
like,
do it really subtly.
do it subtly, make it about them. That's the best way with men. Make it about them and make it think it's their idea. Um, or get a third party to suggest something, third party of someone that they respect or get along with. Because I know from my experience, if I brought anything up to my ex, it was a blanket no. If a friend of his brought up the exact same thing, it was the best idea in the world, especially if I got his female co-workers to bring it up. He'd come home and be like, oh, so and so told me about this. This is awesome. What do you think of this idea? I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing me such a good idea. You are so smart. We should do that.
Yeah.
Like,
So
you know,
just know
stroke
it
their ego.
internally. Yeah,
Not
you know it
internally.
internally what's happening, but
In
yeah.
saying all of this, though, I think a major problem is people feel like they need to be in a relationship in the first place.
Ooh.
Like, realistically, if you look at all of the studies, single women are happier and live longer than men. Men
Yeah,
in
that's what stats say.
relationships are the
Yeah,
happiest
worse.
and healthiest and live
Yeah.
longest.
Yeah, it's the
So
reverse.
we don't actually need them, but they need us. And if you can go into a relationship, not, you don't have to be arrogant about it. You don't have to be threatening them and saying, you know, I can leave and I'll be fine. But go into it knowing, one, before the relationship, you were perfectly happy without them before you knew they existed. You don't actually need them. And two, you can be just as happy, if not happier, if you do leave and you are single. It's about learning how to get that love and connection and security from within first. And if you can establish that feeling first before you get into a relationship, and establish your needs and your values and be really super clear on what is okay and what is not okay, and stand by that in the relationship is going to either thrive or end fast, because a man that does not meet that standard should not be in your life.
Oh, I
Period.
love that you have all this learning coming out of all those toxic relationships.
So much. I mean, part of it was obviously through the years of study, but yeah, a lot of it's life experience too. And I'm seeing someone now, but I am perfectly happy being single. And I told him when we started dating, I'm like, look, like, I'm not in this because I need somebody. I am perfectly happy being single. I am more than happy being on my own. So these are my standards. This is what I expect from a relationship. If you are happy with that, awesome. If at any point you feel like that's not okay for you, that's also okay. We can just be friends, whatever. But I have my standards now, and they're not shifting for anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. That no one is worth my self-worth anymore. Like, that's just the benchmark. They need to add to my life, not take away from it.
You know what? Why women don't like being single? I think the stigma of like people asking and making women feel like there's something wrong is the actual problem. So it'll be like, why are you single? But, said in like that tone, it's like, why are you single? Like, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yes.
How do you answer that?
Well, it depends on the person. I mean, they could be single just because they haven't found the guy that they want to, grow the family and have kids with, because they just haven't come along yet. It could just be because they want to focus on themselves for a while and get themselves established. Maybe there are certain goals they really want to hit and go all in on for the next few months before they open up to relationships. But it also could be because they're just not actively looking, and that's okay. And more often than not, it's the women that don't look, and it's the women that are comfortable and happy being single that find the guy.
Yeah.
It's the ones that desperately go on all of the apps and date, and it becomes their identity, that fall into the traps of the avoidant guy and the, anxious attachment and the need to connect and the need to put on their best face all the time and just show up as this superwoman to attract a guy. But it's all for the wrong reasons. It's for finding that connection and, again, getting that love, getting that reassurance, getting that safety and security. And like I said before, if they can establish that themselves internally, they're not going to be shopping for that. And
so important.
It's so important. And your standards lower so much when you're desperate. You overlook the red flags. They could be waving a giant red flag in your face and you go, oh yeah, a circus is in town. Awesome. Look at all the flags everywhere. So yeah, I think for women that are looking, focus on yourself first, because also your partner shows up as a mirror. So if you're dealing with a lot of trauma, you've got a lot of pain, you've got a lot of unresolved issues, your sense of self-worth is lowered, you're going to have a partner, and it doesn't matter who it is, they will reflect back what you need to work on so you can work on it and grow. And that can be okay if you're in a relationship where you're both set on growing together. But if you're not in a relationship based on growth, then that is going to be a problem. And sometimes you don't realize these internal red flags until you're in a relationship, until you've got that mirror there. And sometimes a relationship is the best place to actually work on all of this, because you can grow together as a couple, you can heal together, you can level up essentially and move forward in this growth state, instead of, I guess, showing up as your most toxic self. So that's also really important to recognize, that if you don't like yourself now and you're seeking a relationship, chances are, yeah, they might look great at the start, but they're going to show up in ways that you don't like about yourself.
Wow, I can talk about these things all day, I think.
Yeah, me too. Easily.
Yeah, yes, I absolutely agree with you that relationships are mirrors. So it's actually every relationship is showing us, oh, we need to lift our standards. Oh, this is where I need to set boundaries. It's like, we didn't have them. That's why those things happen. It's like, it's not the guy. It's like, sure, you can say it's the guy or the girl or whatever, but it's like, we can never control anyone's behavior. So it's actually, you're so right that it's the mirror that's holding up. It's like, what do we need to change? Where is our standard? Where's our boundaries? What do we accept in our life? And every time we don't do those things, that's when the resentment continues to grow and grow and grow. And then we wonder why the relationship gets stripped apart or becomes something. It's never like one day. Like one day this all turns into crap. It's like, no, we progressively let it slip that way.
Exactly. And if it was in one day, it would be noticeable and then we'd leave. But like you said, it's the resentment too. And it's not just the resentment of your partner. More often than not, most of the resentment is self-directed because you're putting
Yourself.
up with it.
Yeah.
And even if you don't consciously know that, it's the case. Like if you're triggered by anything in this world, it's because you've got that button for people to push. Well, really push your own button. Like
Yeah.
I'm at the stage now where like you could pretty much say anything to me and you're not going to trigger me. Like I'm good. I've worked on my shit. So, but you see other people and you just say one wrong thing and they explode. But that also comes down to where they're at with their healing process. If they've never learnt to process their emotions properly, it's going to happen. Like someone with an anger issue, for example, is someone that has held on to anger ever since they first experienced it. And I like to explain it as in every single emotion, like when you experience it for the first time, you essentially form like a bucket for that emotion. And then every time you feel anger or sadness, whatever it might be, it drips into that bucket. Sometimes it's a huge traumatic event and it dumps a lot of guilt in there. Or it might just be little bits of, your partner just poking you a touch, like just getting on your nerves. But it gets to the point where that bucket of emotion is full. And that's when people with, like I said, anger issues come in. It just takes that one little nudge, that one little wrong word to make it spill over, and they just get flooded with rage because it's already at breaking point. Whereas if you learn to process your emotions and feel them and take the learning from them as you're experiencing it and then letting it go, you don't have that problem anymore. Like, yes, you'll still feel unwarranted anger or warranted guilt or warranted sadness, but the unwarranted anger and the unwarranted negative emotions just don't occur anymore.
Yeah. So true. All right. Oh, let's wrap this up with.
Oh, wow.
I know, time flies when we're having fun.
Sure does.
If the listeners want to connect with Jessica, where is the best place for them to go?
So I'll send you a link that you can share as well to my group for women, Together We Roar. So it's a free group. We do coaching sessions once a month, and they've got full access to me to ask any questions and get guidance. But it's a place for women to essentially support each other through this process. Most of them are going through the same stuff, either toxic relationships, dealing with chronic illness and pain, or just feeling like a shell of who they used to be. So having that community they can reach out to, and like we spoke about earlier, that safe place where they can reach out for help to get themselves right so they can get out of whatever situation they're in, whether or not it's a relationship. But if they just message me on Facebook or Instagram, the word raw, I'll send them a free workbook that they can start working on themselves. And they'll also get access to my masterclass, which is coming up also. So just send me the word raw.
Wonderful.
And I'll know exactly where you've come from. That's easy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this wonderful work and providing a safe space for women.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for having me.
Excel in life, live your purpose, be free.